Hello and welcome to part one of using coloured pencils with me, Jo Beale. So I'm an artist, illustrator and workshop leader, and you won't be surprised to know that I love using coloured pencils. So in this first part, we are just going to look at some of the different sets of coloured pencils I've got, and I'm just going to kind of talk you through and demonstrate the differences between the sets, because you may be surprised to know that there is quite a variety in terms of density of colour that you can get, and whether they're useful more for blending or for mark making, whether they're kind of more waxy or more oily, and what happens with either of those. So that's going to be part one, and then I hope you'll follow on to part two and work alongside me, work with me, where we will start to use some of those colour pencils, but just with a really nice playful kind of warm up. And then part three of using colour pencils is that we will draw with them, and I love to draw from nature, so that's what we'll do. So thank you for watching and enjoy. Here are some of my sets of coloured pencils. Aren't they tempting? Let's have a look at them in a bit more detail. This is a British brand, Derwent, and this is their Coloursoft range. And yeah, I do really enjoy using this one. Just as it says, it is a really soft lead, which makes it quite nice for blending. And I think that the lead on this one is a little bit more oily, which also makes it rather nice for blending. And you can see by using different amount of pressure, I can create different depths of colour. I can go quite light, kind of medium, or even darker. And I might be able to show you how this works as a blending tool as well, but we'll do a little bit of that later on. You can see how it's crumbling a bit because of the amount of pressure I'm using, and that's because it is quite a soft pencil. And just a note on using pencil sharpeners. Every time that I've bought a pencil sharpener, I think it's been the best one that I've ever had, but then it's started to kind of deteriorate. So I think my conclusion is that basically the blades are becoming blunt. So you can buy replacement blades for any kind of standard pencil sharpener, but this is currently my favourite pencil sharpener. So as you can see, it's got 3 holes, and this is a German make, and it's called M&R. So it's called a triple hole triangular pencil sharpener. So the 3 different blades are this one, which is the standard one, so that's a standard length, then this one, which is a bit shorter, and this one that is shorter still. So the way that it works is that the standard one sharpens the pencil and the lead equally. So if let me get a slightly blunt pencil. If I sharpen that now on the normal blade, that's come to quite a nice point. So that's sharpened the lead and the pencil equally. But then if I go to the medium blade, this blade, the medium one, sharpens the pencil, the wooden part, more than the lead, sorry. So I don't know if you can see, but the tip of the pencil is sticking out the top there. So if I sharpen this, you can see that the wood has got longer, but also the tip has got longer, except there's a bit of a kind of wedge at the end. Hopefully you can see that. And then what I do is I can sharpen up that very tip by going into the shortest blade. And then we've got a nice long lead and a really, really sharp point. So I can make nice fine lines with that. This is another range of pencils from Derwent, and it's called Derwent Artists. So it's not quite as soft as the Coloursoft, but still quite richly pigmented and also fairly waxy, which makes it ideal for kind of layering and blending. So if I put a quick layer of this orange down, I'm pressing quite hard, and then I've got a terracotta colour here. You can see that that works quite nicely on top. I might even be able to go over it again with the orange to warm it up even more, brighten it up even more. Yes, I can. So when I use my colour pencils, I do tend to start with the lightest colour that I think is required, and then use stronger, darker colours on top. But as you can see, that orange did just go quite nicely above that terracotta. I'm pressing quite hard there, but you can see I can also get quite nice effects just pressing more lightly. Able to put that blue on top of that peachy colour underneath, so that's quite nice. So you can see how they can layer up quite nicely. So Derwent Artists, not as soft as the Coloursoft, and quite nice to use. This is a range of pencils from Faber-Castell, and they are called Polychromos. So yeah, these are lovely to use as well, and I think they are more oil based, which means that you can sharpen them to quite a nice sort of sharp point, and they're really good for making marks on top of layers that you've already put down. So let's have a go with these. Yeah, they're coming out really nicely. I'm pressing quite lightly at the moment, and you can see what lovely sharp marks I can make with it. So I put a layer of that pink down. Let's see what happens if I go over with a fairly sharp blue. Yeah, that's come out rather nice. Yeah, I am enjoying using these. So if I was working on, let's say, a botanical drawing, I might use these for some of the fine texture and detail that I would put on once I'd got my layers of blended colour down. See, even that's working on top. That's like the third colour now that I'm putting down, and that's working as a third layer. You can see how rich it is there. Now if I get, maybe try the black on top of that, that shows up as well. This is another range from Derwent, and these are called Derwent Lightfast. They are a professional grade pencil in that apparently they don't fade. They won't fade for 100 years under museum conditions. So again, I use these more for my kind of botanical drawings, and maybe something that I'm going to put in a frame and on the wall rather than to use in my journals. So they're quite pigmented again, a bit like the Polychromos. They are quite good at, quite useful for being able to mark make and add detail on top of colour that you've already laid down like that. They are a little bit softer, I think, than the Polychromos. But oh, that's nice, isn't it? Really nice to be blending and layering colours down and seeing what happens. Okay, I can work on top of those as well. Let's see if we can work on top of this colour that I've just put down with. Whoops. See, yeah, a bit softer. I broke the lead a bit then, pressing a bit too hard. Never mind. So a lovely set of pencils, Derwent Lightfast, much more expensive than any of the others though, but quite nice to have for working on maybe some bigger pieces of work. If you're lucky enough to have a set of these, which are the Berol Karismacolor, then I would say enjoy using them and keep hold of them, because I've got a set which is, well, pretty much running out. A lot of them are this big and, well, this small and smaller. But I absolutely love them. I think this has been my favourite pencil so far. So this, it really is quite oil based, and it's so rich, and again really fabulous for putting a layer down and then being able to work on top in some detail, and not as soft as the Derwent Lightfast. So you can see I'm pressing quite hard there, and we haven't got any breakage issues, although that point did just go. But I can feel the sort of smoothness of this pencil on top of the layer underneath. Whoops. Still not as soft as the Lightfast from Derwent, but as you can see, we've got a little bit of breakage. So I could sharpen this to quite a fine point and still get details on top of colour that I've put down previously. You can see what variety of different sort of depths of colour you can get as well, depending on how much pressure you put down. Great fun. And then finally, I do have just a few singles of different makes of pencil. So another good make is Caran d'Ache. So I might get a set of these at some point, but at the moment I've just got singles, and they feel really nice as well. This feels quite pigmented. Doesn't feel as oily as the Berol Karismacolor. Feels kind of drier in a funny way. But as you can see, we're getting quite a nice intense colour there. And sort of dense colour as well. So I think it might be quite a good idea to get a set of these at some point. So what I find is that because I've got quite a few sets of pencils, I don't tend to, apart from using my Lightfast, I tend to keep those for non-art journaling stuff. But for everything else, I will probably switch between the brands. You know, like I won't use just one brand for one drawing. I'll switch between them because I might want to achieve a different type of effect across a whole page. So I might have, like in my hand, a set of green colours from each of those sets of pencils that we've just looked at. So, you know, you might build up your pencil collection as time goes by, but you don't need to have loads. Just start off with one, see how you get on with it, and then you could always buy single pencils as well, like I have with the Caran d'Ache, rather than a whole set, and just try things out.